And good morning. Welcome to Community Viewpoint. I'm Mike Smith, your host, and it's a show that brings you or informs you of what's going on in and around our community here in Jacksonville. And this morning, my special guest comes from an organization called Knots for Kids. This morning, I have Mr. Michael Rogers, and he's the Executive Vice President, and also Brandon McCrae, and he's a Senior Advisor. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
All right. How are you this morning?
Doing well. Thank you for having us, Mike.
Oh, thank you for coming in. We're going to talk about kids and something special that you guys are doing for the kids, and the program is called Knots for Kids. And why don't you start off, Brandon, by telling me how this organization came about?
Well, this organization came about from a good friend of ours who owns a tie company. And he's into ties, he loves ties, and he came to us one day and said, listen, I want to do something for kids.
Okay.
I want to teach kids how to dress.
Yeah.
And how to tie a tie and how to be a gentleman. And so we had this concept that we moved on, and it was all based on how to teach young boys how to be gentlemen. And it all started from there, and it grew to an organization that we have today, which is a 501c3, which focuses in on education, personal development, and also health development too. We saw some health needs out there, issues in this population that we thought would be good to focus on as well.
Okay. Mike, is it necessarily African-American boys we're talking about, or it's just boys in general, or kids? Well, I guess we're talking about boys more or less, especially when it comes to ties.
Yeah, Mike, thank you. We do have a large population of African-American males between the ages of 5 to 17. And typically they are labeled as underserved within the Jacksonville community. When we conducted a market survey, we just saw a number of disparities with regards to African-American boys, and our research suggested that males aspiring to go to college typically were more significantly more likely to perform better in school. We didn't see this type of motivation with the folks that we were mentoring and engaging with. And of course, African-American males have unique challenges with regards to authentic assimilation into society and really finding their place and becoming comfortable and engaged in the work of the community.
Well, I'm going to let's just stay right there for right now. You're talking about attire, pretty much for African American young men, okay? And you know, everybody. Man, I remember back in the day, my parents used to say, or my dad used to say, well, when I was growing up, blah blah blah, and I never thought I'd, live to see the day where I'd be saying the same thing. In school, for example. When I was coming up, pretty much we had to have our shirts tucked in, had to have a belt on, and some schools required that you wear a tie. And now, pretty much in our society, you can see we're pretty much dress challenged in some arenas, but the sagging pants, and blah, blah, blah. And so I'm sure it's a complete turnaround for some of these young men.
Yeah, we talk a lot about the sagging pants.
Okay, sure.
That's one of the that's one of the topics we hit. But it's simple things like your belt should match your shoes,
right?
How to tuck your shirt in, and we try to do it. Try to give them techniques or ways to dress depending on the occasion, whether it's professional work attire, whether it's social attire. Whether it's school attire, what's appropriate to wear at school,
right?
And sagging pants are not a part of that attire. So,
Mike.
Yeah, we do have a no sag zone.
Right.
That's important.
Okay.
And a lot of the young men come to us, some of them from broken families, displaced fathers, absentee fathers, emotionally, physically, spiritually. So there are a number of needs that we attempt to touch on. But what we most focus on is the need to model successful behavior for our young men. A lot of programs in the city and abroad focus on rehabilitative intervention. One of the hallmarks or staples to our program is that we are proactively engaging, getting in front of the early years in school before the influences can really leave an indelible mark that will take a lot of time and resources to remove. And it's good work, it's noble work, and it's fun.
Well, all right. That kind of leads me to the question of the beginning ages of the young men. What are the ages you really start off with?
Well, we typically start with 11 through 18.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
that middle school age
Right.
to high school age is where
Okay.
we start out.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing we teach is how to tie a tie.
Right.
And that's a big accomplishment for the young men, is how to
Yeah.
tie your own tie.
Right. Right.
And like Michael mentioned, a lot of these young men come from broken families where there is no father present. And
Right.
so the mothers are so grateful that
Mm-hmm.
we have showed these young men how to tie a tie. Something
Mm-hmm.
as simple as that, to have the moms just be so excited about
Right.
the opportunity for someone to model that behavior and to teach them how to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we've even had moms come to
Okay.
the session
Right.
and really get a thrill out of learning themselves
Right,
how to
right.
tie a tie.
Right.
Conversely, we have moms who know how to tie a tie and have really been the champion in their sons' lives with regards to grooming and deportment and again personal development. So it's a great partnership.
You know, you guys make me want to have to write down something on a list here, because I'm going to have to thank my dad, because he taught me how to tie my tie, you know, as a kid. And you take for granted some of the things that you have at your disposal. And these guys, these young men that you're working with, like you said, some of them come from broken homes, you know, and they look to you guys as, man, this is a bonus, you know, to say the least. And a blessing to them in many ways, that you can take something so simple and that one thing will instill pride within them, a genuine pride, you know?
It really is learning to tie a tie is a rite of passage.
Yeah, yeah.
So-
Yeah.
And, I remember my father teaching me how to tie, and I taught my 11-year-old twin boys how to tie a tie for the first time. And,
Yeah.
and so those are those passages, or those
Sure.
that coming a boy to a man
Right.
kind of scenarios.
Right, right.
Yeah.
We all know the girls have theirs, you know, so we can claim at least one, two rites of passage there. I want to know also, how long have you guys been in existence now?
Well, it's interesting that you ask. We started conversations with our team leader, Efferem Williams, who certainly is the consummate leader for the organization. And these talks began around late 2005 into all of 2006. And we realized the inception of the organization in 2007. The board that we have is a very diverse board. When you line us up side by side, you might immediately say, well, all of them are African American males.
Yeah.
And the answer to that is yes. But considering the journeys that each of us have taken to get to this point, our experiences, there's just a wealth of richness in what we all bring to the table, including our professional acumen, our training, and our passion to do the work that we're obviously called to do at this season in our lives.
Let me add.
Yeah,
that
go ahead.
This is a grassroots organization.
Okay.
All volunteers. No one gets paid to do this. We volunteer our time and our money to make this a reality. And like Mike mentioned, our board's very impressive. We all come
Okay.
from different backgrounds. We
Sure.
have physicians who are providing health care and providing us advice as interns of health care. We have finance folks who are in finance careers that are also providing financial advice to some of our kids in our finance piece as well.
Okay.
And we have college educators like Mike and myself, administrators at the college level, who
Okay.
bring a different aspect to the table as well too. So our diversity is our strength, and our board is our strength, and,
Right.
and we do this on an all volunteer basis.
So I'm going to assume that, yes, the implementation of teaching the young men how to tie ties is really a stepping stone, or I want to use the word excuse, to really encourage them educationally speaking. I mean, to give them some incentive to want to pursue an education somewhere, you know, along the lines there. Is that possible? Am I saying something that may be conducive to your organization there?
I think you're right on, Mike. And the reality is that even in our upbringing, getting a haircut
Right.
was the difference between feeling like $1 million and then feeling as though I needed to get a haircut.
Right.
You know,
Right.
tying a tie, and not to mention even the bow tie. There are some grown men who kind of relish the idea, wow, I wish I could tie a bow tie. And they might not say that, but it's there. It is a rite of passage. It is a tool that's unique. It's a unique emblem of the office of manhood.
Okay.
And to get the gentlemen that we interact with to really take pride in that notion of tying a tie is a milestone for them. You see the light bulb come on. It's as if they have done something that they thought they'd never be able to do.
Right.
In the moment, it's really a remarkable transformation that occurs just with that simple skill and ability.
That sounds fabulous, man. I want to ask one more question before we go to break, and that is, are you tracking your progress as, you know, you go along with the young men? What type of progress you chart things by or whatever?
Sure, we do measure results and our success.
Okay.
We have 6 programs that are part of what we call the tailored program.
Okay.
And once the gentlemen go through each one of these programs, they are considered to be tailored, as we like to say.
Okay.
But gentleman's dress is the first piece of that puzzle. And
Okay.
it speaks to professional careers and growing up and being a professional and what to do in professional settings.
Gotcha.
But we also talk about money management, another one of the programs. Then we talk about dining etiquette. How do you dine? How do you prepare yourself for professional success? And then we talk about self-esteem, feeling good about yourself, chivalry, how to treat women,
Right.
and then the health component. We call that see it, treat it, see it, beat it, treat it. That's the name of our program. So
Okay.
we want you to identify it, treat it, and then beat it out of your life to have a healthier lifestyle. So all those components together, we feel it's kind of a holistic approach
Right.
to helping these young men be prepared for the future.
Outstanding. We're going to talk more about this in the second half. It's time for us to pay the bills. We'll be right back.